Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Block Bytes. And it's the end of the week almost. And it's time to take a look at all the important news in the world of crypto. And I am joined once again by Vicky. How are you, Vicky?
Fine, sir. How are you, sir?
Not bad. Let's take a look at the market, starting from what's happened in the last 7 days. It's pretty much just like expected. It is a bearish market, as we all know. Of course, being crypto,
Yes.
there are few big green bubbles. Half the bubbles, I have no idea what they are. But
Musical, it's basically.
yeah, so render actually, render is over here. AVAX, we'll talk about AVAX. And then where is I keep the Bitcoin and Ethereum is kind of hard to find in here.
Yeah.
But
Bitcoin could.
yeah, here we go. Ethereum negative, of course. BTC is up.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you make of this market so far, Vicky?
This week has been very boring, sir. Actually, I couldn't even trade properly.
Oh,
Of course, there were few pumps here and there, like R&D and all. But overall, it was very difficult to gauge which one was going to bump because it was a random thing. Moreover, capital was shifting from one altcoin to another altcoin. There's no sustained bump was not there.
Yeah. By the way, Rune is down by 6%, but we'll talk about why that happened. So it's one of the news we'll cover. Okay. Yes, yeah, I mean that's the way it is, and controversy in crypto go hand in hand. So it's everybody knows. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's take the first news here. This is a big one. As okay, Grayscale is wants to convert their Ethereum trust to a spot ETF now. So Grayscale has their BTC trust as well, and which they are also, the BTC trust is also in the pipeline to be converted into ETF, I believe. And now the Ethereum trust is also they filed the paperwork to convert this into a ETF as well. So at the moment, the Ethereum trust has around $5 billion in controlling. Ethereum trust controls $5 billion at the moment. So of course, because it's a spot ETF, we don't know when it's going to get approved. But nevertheless, it only shows how committed the institutions are when it comes to not just Bitcoin, but also Ethereum, that they want a piece of the action. So your thoughts, Vicky?
It was on expected lines only, sir. Now everyone is being aggressive because they don't want to, lose it on the Ethereum front.
Right. Okay.
So I think everyone, like, obviously, like, once Bitcoin is done and dusted with the ETF, the thing they'll be focusing more on will be Ether.
Correct.
But what I'm curious is because right now there is not much clarity on what the SEC is actually expecting from an ETF. So with this clarity, I don't know why the fact that, like, I'm wondering why everyone is rushing to file or convert, in this case, convert it into an ETF.
But I mean, what I have realized is, I think it was BlackRock who came in like last week and said that Bitcoin spot ETF is going to happen in 3 to 6 months. So that is the kind of attitude that they have. They are confident. So I think that confidence is another reason why they're rushing into it, and they think.
I agree with that, actually. Yes, and that's like, what is it? Since BlackRock is telling it must be there must be something to it. Actually, those executives are not going to come and say something. So there must be something. There must be something on their minds, actually, to put out such a statement that will be approved in 6 months' time. So that thing is that is true. Then I understand the hurriness with which it is being filed. Everything is being filed or converted in this case.
Yeah, I mean they certainly have. Obviously, they know something that we guys don't know. And
Yes.
the other thing is they would like to have the spot BTF approved before the actual halving happens. So yeah, so that is probably you know that is another reason. So whatever is happening behind the scenes, a lot of pressure has been built up probably on the not probably, but I'm sure a lot of pressure is on the SEC to kind of figure out the
Yes.
legalities of whether this is a security or not and whatnot. All the big questions have to be answered before it can be approved. So it's going to be
That's
interesting
the
time.
reason why I am kind of I'm kind of I'm not able to grasp the extent of the statement given by BlackRock when there is not much clarity on the the type of asset that Bitcoin is going to be or Ethereum is going to be.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, whether SEC is going to approve that or not, and if SEC is not going to approve that, what like these people are going to put in a lot of pressure on them.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess only time will tell. But
Yes, only time can
yeah,
tell. Yeah.
I'm sure the SEC is under a lot of pressure. So let's move on to the next news. Okay, so another good news when it comes to the whole RWA narrative. UBS, another big bank, has started tokenizing, or rather experimenting with tokenizing certain assets on Ethereum. So this post from Sammy actually goes in and explain what they're trying to do. They've got they managed $3.4 trillion. Right. So out of that, there is a certain kind of asset called a variable capital company asset. It is this one that they're trying to do like a pilot to try and understand how this whole thing will work. But UBS has just jumped on the bandwagon. There are other banks that are already doing this. We saw the news of ANZ. JP Morgan already, Citibank is already doing it. Even SBI, not directly on Ethereum, but on Polygon, they were doing something with the Singapore bank. So banks all over the world are experimenting with RWA. So, I mean, if you've been following the crypto space even recently, you know that this is probably the biggest news story and the biggest narrative in the industry right now. What do you say, Vicky? Nothing out of the ordinary here, perhaps?
There's a lot of experimentation being done in the RWA space, sir, actually. That is obviously it is one of the narratives that people are looking out for in 2020-24.
Right.
Yeah, commercial banks coming up and and then trying to part of the tokenization process.
Right.
It's definitely a move because they're trying to, because like it gives legitimacy to DeFi. So apart from the fact, we don't know what are the vulnerabilities so far in the RWA arena.
Right.
These are all safer alternatives. What the banks are opting for. These are all safer alternatives. There's no doubt in that. But what we are going to do with this, like what what happens after tokenization is what everyone is right now wondering. Tokenization is one aspect.
Correct.
But what after tokenization is there's a lot of speculation going on.
Correct.
So whether they have the intended benefits or not, these are all things to watch out for, actually.
Right. Very early days at the moment. They're obviously trying to understand technologically whether this is even feasible or not.
Yes.
We're at the very initial proof of concept phase, perhaps. So yeah.
Yes,
okay, let's go ahead. Another news: Honda, the Japanese automobile, have started to accept Bitcoin and Ethereum as payment methods. Now, this is, one of those news that used to be a big news a couple of years back, but I don't know how much it really impacts the except of the fact that some narrative for the mainstream media to pick up because it's got Honda and Bitcoin together. But for people who have been in the crypto space, I don't know if this is really such a big deal or not. But I mean, I've seen so many such news over the period of time that it has lost its sheen, so to say, for me. What about you, Vicky?
Yes, sir. Like one thing is, if they why Bitcoin or Ethereum when they can have stable coins as sort of some mode of payment? Why Bitcoin and Ethereum? More than the fact that it helps Bitcoin, Ethereum, I think this news is going to help Honda.
Yes. Want to do a micro strategy without actually doing micro
part
strategy.
of the Web3, the Web3 hype.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why they are keen in accepting payments in cryptocurrency. If it was in 2012, 2021, even 2 years back, this would have been a very big news. But I think now institutions opting to choose cryptocurrencies as payment methods, only give legitimacy to them rather than Bitcoin or Ethereum.
No, that is true. Yeah. But that is interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But, I mean,
eventually I think like most institutions will probably open up to accepting cryptocurrencies as payment. The only question is whether how widely this is going to be used. For example, let's say I'm going to buy a Honda car. Whether I'm going to make payments in Bitcoin or Ethereum, what makes a difference? Whether I'm going to do that or not.
Yeah, that is what my point was. I mean, if I have Bitcoin, would I really spend my Bitcoin to buy a Honda?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or even Ether. I don't think I'll do that. Anybody in their sane mind would actually do that unless they have, plenty of these tokens in their wallet and they just want to experiment with it and see if it actually works or not. But besides that, nobody else is going to do that. But interesting news. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, it's kind of lukewarm news, not really interesting, but I still wanted to pick it up here. So yeah, let's go ahead. Okay, now this is the news where we go and see why. Let me just go back to this crypto bubble here, and we see this Rune. Rune is the token for a blockchain called Thor chain, right? And it is down 5.5%, and the reason is this. So there is a swap application, THORSwap, which runs on the chain, and it actually had to stop its operation because they found out that a lot of illegal funds were being used, or being moved around, swapped, using their service THORSwap. Now, I was part of this. So it actually started a few days back, and it triggered like a Twitter controversy discussion back and forth between people of THORSwap, people who believe in THORSwap and chain, and those on the other side. So the people on the other side were saying that if you are, if you have an application and you are enabling illegal activities, then you should be responsible for it. And people obviously who are maximals of THORSwap said that no, we are a free and open decentralized application, we will not stop anything. But eventually what happened is when the THORSwap team sat down and discussed with their partners and other people in the board members and everybody, they decided that, what, this is not going to go well for us, so let's just shut down and figure out how we can plug this gap, how we can fix this problem. So last week we saw Rune actually was one of the big green bubbles in the crypto space. They were up quite a bit, but because of this news, the THORSwap is an application which had to be shut down, temporarily, obvious, but it's also obviously impacted the chain, the underlying chain, Thor chain, and their token has gone down. So just to give you a little background, just after the FTX collapsed, there was this guy who actually managed to steal 600 some odd $1 million of assets from FTX. and that is what that person is back, and he's trying to move this funds around using THORSwap. So using THORSwap, he's actually already transferred $38 million in ETH and Bitcoin as well. So this is the background, and I mean, there was a lot of back and forth on Twitter. Vicky, I don't know if you saw that banter, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually thought of putting out a tweet last week. I think last week beginning. I mean, this week beginning or last weekend. I'm not sure because I was sick. I'm not sure. I was honestly wondering. Like I was trying to put out a tweet something on the lines like, "Who is going to stop THORSwap?"
Okay.
So that was my this thing. I personally use THORSwap. It's a very good interchain cross-chain swapping protocol. It's very easy to swap across. So there's no doubt in that. It's very convenient and easy also, and it is also kind of less used than retail. Mostly, it is kind of used by developers or hackers only.
Right.
So it is a good. It's a good. It's a good DApp anyway.
Right.
And there is no place for services like THORSwap in the future. Definitely they'll be either asked to close a shutdown or asked to do KYC on their platforms. Correct. There's no way THORSwap kind of apps can exist. We already seen this with Tornado Cash, and we're now seeing it with the THORSwap.
Right.
So these are all definitely these will be clamped down by government agencies.
Yes.
So either
it's better that they actually be proactive and start.
It's better that way because it's better that way because they facilitate hacks, they facilitate laundering of money, they facilitate the mixing up of money also.
Right.
So naturally, probably from a technological point of view, they are good, right. But for the authorities, it is definitely they're going to clamp down on them.
Correct. By the way, the Shapeshift MetaMask Snap, with which you can actually buy Bitcoin and keep it on your MetaMask wallet, uses THORSwap behind it.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just remembered that. So as you said,
people use THORSwap mostly to swap Ethereum to swap to Bitcoin.
Correct, or probably stable coins. Yeah. So, I mean, there is no doubt that this is a brilliant team. It's a brilliant application. Tornado Cash is a brilliant team. They're a brilliant application as well. But this is the name. This is the, in such an environment, the applications have to really sit down. And I'm glad they actually made this decision. So instead of spending all that time and energy, arguing on Twitter, this is something that they should have done even before. And I hope other applications take a lesson out of this and they take some be proactive when it comes to, facilitating illegal activities and things of that sort. So, all right, let's go ahead. Oh, speaking of illegal activities, here's another one. The OFAC, Office of what was that? Yeah, Foreign Assets Control, is back in the news, and they have decided to blacklist a few more wallet addresses. OFAC, obviously, as we were just talking about, was in the news last year when they blacklisted certain wallets addresses on Tornado Cash, where people were actually using, and among them, I think Lazarus is another group that is known for using THORSwap for basically obfuscating the origins and of how they move the funds around so that you cannot trace them back to them. So this time they have blacklisted certain wallets because they have been tied to this fentanyl trade. I don't know much about it, but I've just heard that fentanyl addiction is a big thing in the United States. It is a drug and it is illegal. And so it's basically facilitating, buying and selling or trading. The money was used the money gained by selling fentanyl is actually being moved using these crypto technologies and applications. So no wonder they blacklisted it, and they are only going to come down harder and stronger. At the moment, they're being very selective with what kind of illegal activities they want to target. But I think they are going to broaden their net slowly but surely. So so these wallet addresses span Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tron. And most illicit transactions on the latter two blockchains were received obviously in stable coins. So crypto is used for dark web stuff. We all know that, everybody knows that, but we shouldn't be surprised when governments come out and come after you and start taking action on it. So Vicky, your thoughts?
So like you explained everything in a very nice manner actually. OFAC is like OFAC has been there for the past like few years. They have been trying to clamp down, can't clamp down exactly. Trying to put in restrictions based on whatever illegality is happening over in crypto, like over with respect to crypto. I'm only wondering, like, what if other governments also try to do the same?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, exactly. They
so will. Like say now formed like India is now came up with a tool that tracks transactions, suspicious transactions based on some logic.
Right.
So they put up a request, similar request to
correct.
Say people, will they respond or won't they? That is a question. And if that is happening, how far can governments go? How far can they not go? These are two important developments that is very important. That has to be monitored.
Correct.
Otherwise, it kind of puts the US in a very hegemonic position. Only they can do this. Other governments can't do this. So that is a very convoluted logic. Rather than any government with a proper reason, with the same reason can do it, means it is good.
Yeah. No, I think they will do it. It's just a matter of time. And if you think about it, governments are kind of doing it in their own capacity. Last week we saw the news about that 300 or 600 crores crypto scam that was unearthed in Himachal Pradesh. So
yes.
The governments are, different governments will act differently. They will target different kind of issues. Fentanyl is a big issue in US as far as I'm told, and I'm not surprised that they've gone after crypto. And I think jurisdictions are only going to start getting more and more aggressive. And I think 2024, next year, is going to be very important when it comes from a regulatory point of view, because the G20, the synthesis paper is out. Governments are now in the process of creating their own specific regulations based on that framework. And all of this will be covered in that. So from a regulatory and from a regulatory perspective, 2024 and 2025 is going to be really, really, really important. And I think somehow I feel we'll see more of these happening here.
I feel that there will be like, what is it? There will be harsher regulations. Harsher in the sense, not even that we are going to think of.
Yeah,
I am pretty confident there's going to be a lot of harsher regulations rather than this thing. One is for like there are two reasons why I tell that. One is because of the upcoming recession. It will be so hard, they'll be trying to find a scapegoat. And what is it? Like, we have all the issues that can make us scapegoat. Not like it's not like we are a scapegoat. Like we have all the issues. For example, the frequent hacks, exchanges playing games, the stablecoin issues, a lot of leverage in the system. This all makes up for a nice, they'll easily tell that we are the reason why the financial system is collapsing. So they'll find because if you go through the IMF synthesis paper, it was actually blaming crypto for a lot of other monetary instability that are happening across the world.
Very true. That is right.
Yeah. So of course 2024 will also be like interesting to note of the development that is coming up. But personally, I think the regulations are going to be harsher.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can't just sit and not do anything about it, right? If you're a government. So
yes, sir.
You have to take it seriously. And
no, I have no problem with them bringing in harsher regulations. There's no doubt. I'm only like, I have no problem because ultimately it's going to, it's about protecting people involved. My concern is that whether some of those will be unreasonable or not. And even if unreasonable, what happens to, say, for example, let's say they are declared securities. What happens to us making money? That is ultimate this thing.
The next one is, okay, UAE is launching their own stablecoin, dirham stablecoin, called DRAM, or that is, DRM, a dirham-backed stablecoin. So interestingly, I was reading this article, and the main reason was that they want to provide a means, give countries plagued with high inflation environments exposure to assets linked to the UAE fiat currency, right? So they also want to, I mean, of course, they are also a very strong currency when it comes to, exchanges, right? Exchange rates and other things. So why not become like a secondary USD? People can have dirhams instead of USDs. Keep their money in dirhams or drams, rather, to be precise. So that is an interesting, news. What do you think, Vicky?
So right now the maximum usage for stable coins is right now is focused on derivatives trading. It's not to mostly people buy cryptocurrencies stablecoin, no doubt in that. But the demand comes mainly from derivatives trading. That's why a lot of demand is there for stablecoins. So, for example, in this case, dirham-backed stablecoin is released. What is going to be the demand for the stablecoin is what matters. If there's no demand, there's no point in having it in the stablecoin also.
I have a feeling that there will be demand because I saw some tweet a while back in which that person has said that of all the stable coins circulating in the system, where are they actually used? And one of the biggest use cases was that they are used as a hedge of inflation by people who are in these countries where there is just double-digit inflation at the moment. So that narrative is quite strong when it comes to.
Sir, but why would they opt for dirham rather than US dollar?
Good point. That is what I think. See, dirham also has a very fair strength when it comes to the exchange rates, isn't it?
That is fine. I'm like only asking, like, it's all about liquidity. If someone is dealing in heavy, like what to say, for example, $1 million is involved. So those $1 million can easily be swapped. The liquidity will be available in the dollars rather than in dirham.
Agree. No, that is a very valid point. Yes, very valid point. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and watch and see how this.
What they're actually doing to drive the demand.
True. Okay, let's go ahead. Another news from Dubai. Yes, the reason I picked this up because Vicky, Islamic Coin, you and Crypto Hanuman and some of the other Twitter folks actually talked about Islamic Coin a few days back with respect to
scams. It was a scam at the first instance. Like if you look at for the first time, go to the website. If you go to any other blockchain, they hug their native blockchain hug. You can clearly see it's a scam. It's MLM. It's MLM thing basically.
Right. Yeah. So no wonder the Dubai's authorities have clamped down and said that it is illegal. So all that money has gone to waste. They literally sponsored a lot of the token 2049 stuff in Singapore, apparently. And so I think this is a good step. As you said, it's a scam and people should stay away from it. Okay. Next. Now, this was an interesting news. It's kind of different. Blackbird, a crypto restaurant app, raised 24 million from 816Z. Now, this only shows that, crypto, again, people can basically just use the same technology and infrastructure to create any kind of app. It's an app and a loyalty program. So if you basically, it's on base, of course, that's another thing. So how it works is that customers tap their phone on an NFC reader and basically mint an NFT. And then that NFT is actually used. I think it's some sort of a reservation thing. And then you can use that NFT to go into the restaurant and avail their services. And yeah, so they've got their own tokens, obviously. I don't know how much this will fly, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's the reason I put it here. I'm not sure how much weight anybody should actually give this application at the moment. They basically just trying to, the way sometimes I feel that some of these applications, they just want to pick a niche area that has not been serviced and just go ahead with it, even though there is probably no need for it. But who am I? We'll find out.
Anything with the token, no sir. I immediately turn skeptical.
There you go. Well, why not? Anybody who has spent any time in crypto would do that. Yeah. So, all right. Last news of the day. Yes. So this is the news I wanted to close with. SBF, the trial is going to start next week. And obviously, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how much I have stayed away from all the Twitter noise around this, but I have still a little bit picked up little bits and pieces here and there. There is a very strong narrative supporting SBF actually on this, that he made a mistake or he's probably not as guilty as others. All kinds of weird nonsense, weird theories have been floating. And the weirdest one is that there is this guy who's writing a book on it. He was actually interviewed in the popular 60 Minutes program. And some of the things that guy said, now I didn't listen to that interview, but I listened to a podcast which we're talking about that interview, in which he said that the way he's portraying it is like he's not guilty at all, which is weird. I mean, how can anybody even believe that part is beyond me. So I guess we'll find out next week when the trial begins what actually happens. But it's just unusual to see. Well, it shouldn't be actually unusual. He's quite popular. He's quite not popular. He's quite powerful in the establishment there in the US. So I'm sure the establishment is using all its power to kind of weave a positive narrative around it. What do you think, Vicky?
Sir, he is definitely not wrong. I mean, definitely not right. He is definitely wrong. Definitely, he'll be what I say. He'll be shown not mercy. Basically, he'll be what is it? People will still be finding, the goodness in him. They'll still be calling him. Maybe it was not bad after all. Maybe he didn't do it with intentions. Maybe all his intentions are all good. Maybe it was luck. So all this like things happen for every every known crime
Exactly.
criminal out there.
That is
so
true.
it's a sophisticated crime basically.
Mm.
So associated crime basically. So naturally people are going to some people that we cannot ignore the fact that it's just not SBF in crypto. There are a lot of so like it's not like SBF is the only criminal out there. There are a lot of others, a lot more others in crypto who have done even OFAC, even OFAC crimes and are still roaming out free.